House in Baltimore, and this is going to be one of the real fun segments I do during the World Cup because this guy is one of my soccer friends. He is Carl Delmont from Fremont Mortgage and, of course, the Harrisburg Heat. You hear him here giving you various tips. You hear him on other places around the dial. But this is the one chance, Carl Delmont, for you to fly in when everybody's talking about soccer in the middle of the World Cup. And I know you and I have been at it for a long time with the charity stuff we do and the work we do and all that. But this is where, like, if you're a soccer fan, you sort of stop things in the morning to see who's winning the Poland-Senegal game and, you know, how Colombia did in the morning. But there's no U.S., right? And I know as a guy who's played the game, coaches the game, you're invested in the game. I'm invested in the game as well. You know, it is a weird month where sort of the olive branch and the B plan is we're getting the World Cup in 2026. I mean, I know your kids are going to be excited about that when it comes to our shores here 8 years from now. But there's something about having our nose pressed up to the glass and not being able to play that's not fun about this, right?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's been lamenting about the fact that, you know, the U.S. didn't make the World Cup, and is it Klinsmann's fault? Is it this one's fault? You know, Rena, whoever. But yeah, bottom line, they just didn't get it done. And, you know, watching the Panama game the other day, I'm thinking, wow, man, we probably could have competed. But, you know, it is what it is. But it's still great soccer to watch.
Yeah, and I've been getting up early with all of this, and obviously the political intrigue that they sit in front of the Kremlin and do these broadcasts at this point in America's time and place without America involved. It kind of reminds me of the 80 Olympics that we did not participate in, and that was obviously by choice, not by merit. But the thought that we might, and I've talked to Pete Caringi, I talked to Terry Hasseltine last week, I've talked to Marty Conway about this, and I know the pundits are calling Baltimore a long shot. Carl, there might be two games here. I mean, there might be 2-4 teams that base in Baltimore, and, Brazil could be based here for all we know 8 years from now or whatever. This is going to be quite a thing when it hits America 8 years from now, and I know we're way out in front of it, but, you can't love soccer the way you and I love soccer and love it as long as we have. And, maybe you have experiences with it in 94. I did not go down to D.C. for the games. I was not of that mindset or money set or whatever, but I do have World Cup experiences. I was over in Germany. I know what this is going to mean here, and I know you're in the soccer business. You love the game. You've invested with everything from your team at Celtic and what you've done up at the Harrisburg Heat and playing the game. The complexion of this is going to change later on next month when they crown Mexico the champion, or whether it's Spain or whomever it will be. Hopefully Germany, for my wife's sake. And we'll move on, and then soccer's going to get more of a headlight here in the next 8 years. I think it's going to have to with the Cup coming here.
Yeah, I mean, we see all these polls. Forbes did a poll, and I can't remember the name of the other company, but right now, depending on the demographics, it looks like soccer is the number 3, followed sport in the U.S., especially the younger demographics. So it's definitely taking off. It's just, there's still a lot of people out there who don't consider it a sport. I just posted something on my Facebook page the other day about how far the players ran just in that one Mexican game. The goal even ran 3.8 miles, and most people don't realize just how much athleticism and endurance and cardio and skill and everything's involved in it. But I mean, so far it's been a great World Cup. I mean, the top teams seem to, at least in my opinion, in the first round, just didn't seem to have that killer instinct. I mean, some of them won. Germany lost, obviously, but it just seemed like a little bit of like they didn't have that sense of urgency. But
it's been exciting. I mean, the Ronaldo Messi thing. It needs that. I'll measure them in the middle of July, right? And Germany losing. Maybe that's the wake up call they needed. The Caps lost their first 2 games and went on to win the Stanley Cup, and their coaches walked away. I'll get to that in a minute too. By the way, as a guy who's managed and hired and fired and been involved in sports and in leadership and all that, but on the soccer side, one of the things about this tournament that I do find fascinating is I have no idea who's going to win, Carl, right? I mean, everyone thought Germany's this or Brazil's that, and Portugal and Spain, and kicking it off, and now we're going to get into these second and thirds and the knockouts at the beginning of next week. the must-win part of all of this for the teams that have drawn or lost, or even the teams that have sort of scuffled a little bit. Belgium looks stronger than maybe some thought. Iceland is for real. Argentina now has questions. I think it really steps up the pace going into the weekend for these second and third games, because if Germany wins 4-0 in the first game, it's sort of they're through. Kind of, sort of. Well, I think it's added intrigue to all of this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's going back to what you said earlier, too, just the World Cup. I mean, you look at Iceland, 99.6% of the country was watching.
Wow.
Mexican scientists and others thought that when Mexico scored the goal against Germany, that the fans all jumped at the same time and created a mini earthquake, which was later proven to be false. But still, it's just great lore and things that go along with it. But, it's funny because, and not to denigrate other sports, but so like, the Capitals just won the Stanley Cup.
Sure.
Everyone calls them world champions. Philly wins the Super Bowl. Everyone calls them world champions. But when you look at the World Cup, it truly is world champions because the whole entire world's participating. So, it's amazing. It's a great sport, and I love the fact that every 4 years we get to see this. And next year we'll see the Ladies World Cup. I mean, there's just so many great things about soccer that I love, and this is our time. It's like you said, this once every 4 years it comes up, and the world is watching.
Well, okay, so in 365 days of the year in your life, and look, you run Fremont Mortgage, you've been in the mortgage business forever, but the soccer side of you, 365 days a year, now that you're in the business of doing this, it literally, soccer is on your mind or in your mind, like sports is in my mind doing what I do for a living, literally every day, right? Like, there's not a day in your life. So for a lot of people, like me being one of them, soccer happens when I talk to you, or, a blast game, or if I'm driving by and seeing kids kicking around, or Saturday morning I see an EPL. It kind of comes in and out, right? And I think a lot of people are that way. A lot of people in America, the World Cup is kind of when soccer begins and ends. It lasts 30 days every 4 years. Maybe they'll watch a Copa. Maybe they'll get up on a Saturday morning and put an eye on a game or whatever. But for you, it is a lifestyle, and I guess seeing it grow and seeing this World Cup and what that can anticipate over the next 15 years, I think that's got to be exciting to everyone here, even though it is sort of this dark time that we're not watching the games right now. I would like to think that it's not as corrupt as Qatar getting it, or Moscow getting it, or all the shenanigans that went on down in Brazil. We have stadia that are already built here, and we're going to be a super host for all of this. But I do hope that the country climbs on to some degree, and that soccer sort of fulfills its destiny that you and I have been hearing about since the NASL and Pele came over here to play in the early 70s, right? That it will take off a little bit. You've said number 3 sport, but it's on your mind every day. I don't know that it's on everybody's mind every day.
I'll tell you, they mentioned Pele in the 70s. I mean, one of the first things I asked for my birthday that year was season ticket to the Cosmos, and I was fortunate. My parents got them for me. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where, you've been following it a long time, and, to your point, I could have the worst day for work or whatever, but if I'm coaching that night, whether it's practice or a game, whatever, that's my therapy, man. I just love it. It's great being on the field and passing on something you love to, the next generation. But, the momentum soccer has now, and I think in the timing 8 years from now, it's going to allow it to build and build and build and really take off. I mean, you look at how women's soccer took off, with that iconic goal and then
Sure.
The subsequent jersey ripping off of the sports bra, Brandy Chastain. I mean, women's soccer took off right there. And sometimes I think the ladies play a very technical and a very fun game to watch. But, again, it's just, for me, it's like, Christmas for the next, 30-something days, just getting to watch all this stuff. It's great. It's a gift. I love it.
It's fascinating. You mentioned Brandy Chastain, and my wife and I, last weekend, were looking to get Germany gear. And I'll wear it on my webcam at some point when Germany's playing this weekend or whatever, and if they get through. And I hope, that they play better than they did on Sunday morning for sure. But we were trying to just go buy one. Like, literally, not get it online. I wanted to try it on. I wanted to have the right size. I didn't mind spending the $70, $80 or whatever, $90, whatever it's going to be, because I figured, the guy saved my wife's life's German. He loves the German team. They won the last World Cup. We had a good time in Germany. We actually saw a game in 2006, 4 miles from the house he was raised in and living in when he was a 6-year-old boy that would go on later in life to save my wife's life. So it's crazy stuff. And so I wanted to, support Germany, get a jersey. we had a hard time finding one, right? And I did remember at one point, I drove past this on York Road. Brandy Chastain, there was a soccer shop that's now a vitamin shop right at York Road, just above the Beltway, near the Heaver Plaza. And I saw Brandy Chastain there. I interviewed her. She came to the studio after that. And when I went over there that night, there were 500 girls in soccer gear with parents. And this is, we're going back 20 years ago now, right, Carl? Like, It feels recent that happened. That was a long time ago, that moment. And it happened, within 6 months of that this went on. That's how long I've been doing radio around here. But I thought to myself, 20 years later, and I still can't just drive to the mall and pick up a Germany jersey because it's still a little more esoteric than that. I found that out, giving a shout out to all the Baltimore and saying, where can I get in my car right now and go buy the reigning World Cup team jersey? And I could only find one place in town, and I went and bought it. But it's still not on the tip of everyone's tongue, I guess. And I know you're invested. Tell me what you do with kids with Celtic, because I'm always trying to understand that. And I know so many people listen to the program and have kids involved in sports and stuff. And you've really taken a leadership role in doing that. And I know we're going to do something with Coach Billick later on in the summer we'll be telling people about later in August. But your involvement with that and your love of soccer, not just Harrisburg Eaton trying to make money and be professional and have a professional team, but at the local level, I don't know anybody that's more invested than you.
Yeah, I'm sure there's many others. It's just a passion, and I love doing it. But Celtic, I was coaching there, and then the owner wanted to just become a dad, so we started talking and ended up negotiating to get the club, and we grew it. Celtic has a really good reputation. He established it in 2013. At that time, we've had 4 national championships, and when we came in, we decided let's open it up to more markets and let more kids get involved, because it was built on an elite platform, and there's only so many quote elite teams out there. So we thought if we could open it up in markets such as Hartford and Anne Arundel and out in Carroll, and now we're expanding into Southern PA, and allowing teams and coaches to be a part of it and benefit from the great coaching that has been with the club and is still with the club, and reputation, and to wear that shield and benefit from it. So
you don't have to be an all-star. In other words, we'll make you better as long as you're passionate about wanting to do this, right?
Absolutely, whether you're a coach or a player. And the good thing is, because you're allowed to secondary, so you can have, you might play on a team in, say, Hartford County, and maybe you're one of the 1 or 2 best players in that team, and then next thing you're going to be in the tournament in front of a ton of college coaches. You can guest play on another team, maybe in Central or South, and get exposure that way. So it's just a model we're trying to do, and we think it's working. It's only been 1 year that I've been involved, but it's actually 1 year this month, actually. So. But, right now we've had a great year. We had, I think, 7 teams go to State Cup, 4 winning it. So we had the most of any Maryland club go to State Cup championship and the most win it. And now we've got a bunch going to regionals, and so we'll see what happens. If somebody's make it past regionals, we have a shot for more national championships, which a lot of people use as a benchmark. But I like the consistency, because I think that's one of the most important things. Is it seems like every year we continue to be at this pace, and I credit all the people at Celtic who've been there well before me, and they're still there doing a great job. We've been adding some more great people, so we'll continue to see what happens. But I'm proud to be a part of it. Love the club, and we love what they've done. And again, it's just it's amazing. I mean, we have a friend of mine who's been in soccer forever, and he was with another club. His team's very good. He couldn't get into big tournaments. Came to us, and as soon as he changed his name to Celtic, next thing you know, all the big tournaments are calling him and said, "Hey, come play for us." He's like, "What were you the last 3 years?" And he's got the same exact team, but and he's doing very well with it. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love it, and it's one of those things. Like I said, I love being on the field and watching. I went to the State Cup championships, got to watch a bunch of games in the pouring rain. And when I went home, I felt like I fell in a pool. It was soaking wet, but overall, a good day. It would have been nice to be 7 for 7, but overall, I mean, we came out like 4 wins, and I have to give a shout out to Coach Karen down in the South. She has an 05 team, brand new team, and they made it to State Cup championship and won it. And of course, Barry's continued to do great with the 2000 boys, the reigning national champs. Mike St. Martin with his 03s are doing great. Franco's 05s, I believe, they're still number 1 in the country. Those guys are. Imagine watching a bunch of kids born in 2005 play soccer at a really high level. I mean, Nestor, if you love soccer, you love watching those kids play. It's amazing, and it's just another great thing for the future of the sport to see young kids playing the game at such a high level.
Baltimore Celtic is the website. Carl Delmont's our guest from Fremont Mortgage and our partner for all the give a spit swabbings that we've done, including head coach Barry Trotz. I don't know where the status of Trotz and the Cup are now. I don't know that I ever thought about him being separated from the Cup at this point. But it's been a wild month, right? I mean, Caps winning the Cup. We got the World Cup going on. The Orioles are interesting around here. But I know your primary business are about rates, and rates are improving right now out for Fremont Mortgage. And your primary business is if you're in the market to buy or sell or get involved out in the market, you're a great resource for the advice and how to do that. Tell me what's going on with the rates improving right now in summertime. And I know this is a time where people do like to move, think about moving. If you have kids and you're moving around and that sort of thing, this is the time when that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, we're still, plagued by the fact of lack of inventory, although we just saw new home starts hit I believe it's 11-year high, so that could be encouraging. The Fed did raise rates, and they talked about raising a few more times. Personally, I think it's a mistake. I think the Fed has to really take into account a lot of other things. So, Powell, the current Fed chairperson, is going to be, I think it's Singapore, I can't remember now, but with a bunch of other central bank leaders and talking about, wage growth and some other things, and see if Draghi and ECB is talking about maybe slowing down their pace of stimuli and some other things. But all things being equal, even though that the Fed did raise rates, and consumers will see that in their credit card statements or home equity loans, anything that's based on prime. But conversely, we're seeing fixed-rate mortgages actually improve. So the 30-year fixed rate's actually the best it's been in probably several weeks, which is always welcoming to someone's out there looking to purchase a home or even potentially refinance. The other good news is, depending on what study you read, there was I think it was BlackRock did one, and or it was a Black Knight, I can't remember, one of those two. Anywhere between $8 trillion and $15 trillion. And it's funny, we say the illion word. Million, okay, $6 million man back in the 70s, that was a lot of money. Nowadays it buys you an okay plane. But right now, billion is a big word. Trillion just absolutely astronomical.
Yeah, I can't add that up. I mean, I have a hard time with that.
Yeah, it's a lot of zeros. But in this area, I would say the Mid-Atlantic, Maryland, Southern PA, Delaware, that area, we're sitting on about, according to the study, about $134 billion worth of untapped equity. So what that means is people who are thinking about remodeling or refinancing and maybe consolidating debts or even selling their house, you have a much more equity than you thought about. The flip side is if you're thinking about selling, you're going to like the fact that you probably have, multiple people outbidding each other to buy your house. So you're in the driver's seat. However, when you sell your house, now you become one of those 12, 13, 14 people who are looking to buy the next house. So, I have some friends who actually purchased homes like, say, Florida, when the market wasn't great, and now they're thinking of selling their homes and moving to the house that they bought in Florida. That was probably a smart move because they bought low, they're going to sell high, and they have a place to move to. So see what happens. But overall, I mean, we're seeing a very healthy appetite for people still looking to purchase homes. Homes are not staying on the market very long. But I would say that if you're going to search for a house, the first thing you need to do is sit down and just make a list of what you're comfortable paying. Look at your bills and say, okay, maybe I'm paying $1,200 a month in rent, but I think we're comfortable spending up to $1,400 in a mortgage payment. Remember, that includes your taxes, insurance, and everything else. Then look at all the other things and make sure you leave yourself some money, maybe $300, $400, $500, $600 a month just for emergencies. Because when you go and get pre-approved, as a lender, we give you a pre-approval based on what you qualify for using the calculations that Fannie Mae and FHA give us. You may qualify for maybe a $2,000 payment, but your budget, you may not be comfortable doing that. So stick to your budget so you're comfortable. Then get a pre-approval. Then go out and find a realtor. And we can help you with that as well. We have a free service for that. Then you can start looking at homes. Too many times people get excited. They go online, start looking at homes on Zillow, whatever else. And what they don't realize is that's a lead aggregator site. So while you're looking on Zillow, just innocuously, just saying, oh, what's out there, you may be inadvertently triggering, the next 10, 15, 20 national lenders or online lenders and realtors to contact you and say, hey, I saw you're looking at this house, how can we help you? And that becomes a bit overwhelming. So bottom line is, like I said, think of a budget, what you're comfortable, find yourself a competent lender, get a pre-approval, not a pre-qualification. That's very, very important. Then find yourself a realtor and then figure out where you want to go. And at that point, you're in good shape because you have everything in the right order. If you do it the other way around, you become a little bit reactive more so than proactive, and you find yourself maybe even a little bit of stress that you could have avoided. So.
Well, like everything else in life, measure 3 times, then cut.
Exactly.
He is Carl Delmont. He's measuring soccer each and every morning. We're up early watching games. Hey, man, I hope we get together. Maybe go over to Michael's one day, watch one of these rounds of 16s or 8s or something like that. That'd be a lot of fun. Fremont.com is the way to find him, 800-955-8508. Also very involved with youth soccer through Baltimore Celtic, and you can find them at baltimoreceltic.com. If your kids are into soccer, you want to watch some kids play soccer or do something good involving soccer, after being inspired by soccer every morning around here. And certainly, Carl, any thought about Baltimore getting a couple games just, on the back end of this? Because we've seen this, right? We've had Ronaldinho here. We've had big games here. We've laid the groundwork for this. I don't know, how Washington could ever screw it up, and I don't know where Philly lies in this. I mean, I'm committed that New York's going to have games, right? Dallas is going to have games. The new L.A. stadium's going to have games. Because of the size of these places. But I'm not rooting Baltimore out. I'm just not. I think we've had a history of soccer here, and I wouldn't completely rule us out in a party that includes Cincinnati, Nashville, and Kansas City, and some markets like Chicago bowed out, and Arizona bowed out because of the requirements. So I like that Baltimore's still involved. Somebody's going to get cut, 4 or 5 of these American cities. But the fact that we're involved in it, that does give me a little bit of hope here the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we do get it, but if we don't, DC and Philly aren't all that far. So for, soccer aficionados, I think the odds of us having something within driving distance would be great, but it'd be great to see something, at Raven Stadium and, really fill that place and watch a great game. And, hopefully it comes true, but we got 8 years, so we'll see what happens. I got a lot of other things I got to focus on before that.
Oh, I understand, but come on.
There either, but I'm with you. I hope that, fingers crossed, we do get a couple games.
You don't think you're going to be a maniac when it happens, that you're going to want to go to 4 or 5 games and you're going to circle Argentina playing somewhere, Brazil playing somewhere? Come on. It's going to be your summer holiday.
I'm going to go.
It's going to be your summer holiday. I know it is.
I'm going to go to one game, but we'll see. I mean, again, I'm really looking forward to it, but right now I'm just going to enjoy the current World Cup and see what happens, and then, like I said, I try to focus. I don't try to focus on things I have no control over.
You got a team? Who's your team here in the tournament?
What's that?
Who's your team in this tournament?
I don't really have a team. I just like watching the game itself, but if I had, to pick a winner, it's going to sound safe, but I've been saying it before the World Cup started. In no particular order, I think it's going to be, Brazil, Spain, or Germany. I think those are the 3 strongest teams that have the best chance of winning it.
Boy, Germany struggled, man. Mexico was impressive. There have been some teams that have been impressive enough early on to really make it an interesting tournament. Carl Delmont's our friend. He's out of Fremont Mortgage. Give him all the literature on it, Carl, because you like reading the MLS number and all that stuff. And
but I just have to. But yeah, sure. You can always call us at 800-955-8508. You can check out our Facebook page. We always put great consumer tips up there. And, of course, our website at Fremont, FREEDMONT.com, and MLS number 1067. Equal housing lender. Remember, don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. Give us a call. We never charge an application fee.
All right, man. Well, enjoy the games. Hopefully we'll get one in before now, and then looking forward to bringing Coach Billick out to be involved with your folks over at Baltimore Celtic as well later on in the summer. Carl Delmont, Fremont Mortgage. There he goes. The good people in the business out there to trust to get some information. Go to Fremont.com. You can learn more at Fremont Mortgage U as well. You can find me out in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. The morning newspaper ships digitally to your email inbox. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life, guaranteed. And last but never least, if there's breaking news, if the Orioles deal Manny Machado, you'll get it first on the WNST Tech Service. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Of course, Dennis will be here on Thursday, driving you home from 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST. Happy World Cup watching. We're still reacting to the Barry Trotz resignation with the Caps. Still giving away Free the Bird shirts on Thursday night over at Costas Inn while we have crabs, crab cakes, NBA draft, and Oriole baseball. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.